does living in a new country or city get boring after 5 years? And the simple truth is, yeah, yeah, it does. It definitely can. Because when you're moving to a new place, you're full of that excitement. Everything's new. And after a while, yeah, as you might travel in the train or car, you know where that thing is. You kind of get adjusted to the life because that is what being there for the first few years is basically about. You're adjusting to new surroundings, new, you know, you're probably there for a job, school, something like that. So it's basically adjusting to your everyday routine. What happens when you get to that stage? The first thing on the list is something that we've heard countless times that a lot of people have trouble with, and that's making friends. Yeah, no matter where you are, unless you've got some people to call on when you're bored, it's not exactly going to feel like home. We're able to do this, post lockdowns in a very interesting way by doing an activity that we don't usually do, and that's play board games.
Now, I don't know if that's a millennial thing these days or it's just also like if you've met Germans or Austrians, it's kind of, when it's winter, not really the time of year to go out past the Christmas markets. People pull out the board games. It's just like a family or friend activity that you do a lot. And so we managed to find a little board game group in the apartment complex that we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. At the time of writing that we did, unfortunately, Dublin's housing crisis struck again and people had to move to, new bigger spaces or even back to their hometown. By the way, people from Cork are awesome. So if you're from Cork, you're an awesome person.
And are fully expected to be writing in the comments of like, well, of course, return to the hometown. It's Cork. It's better than the country.
Another possibility is that, for example, where we live, there's a green space as a park. And if outdoor stuff is more your thing, we've seen people playing cricket. I don't play cricket anymore because, West Indies keep losing. That's for you cricket fans out there. But, whether it's football or jogging, one of the suggestions is that, it can be proactive with it and kind of go out to the group and be like, hi, son, I see you doing this. Could I perhaps join in? I think that's how it goes because we've seen some people start jogging or playing games, but then over the months, more people join in. So that's definitely one way to do it.
You might also find groups like that online. So we know in our apartment WhatsApp group chat, sometimes people would ask like, oh, hey, we need some extra people to play football or whatever other sports. Or maybe simply if you check on Facebook, there is a local running club, whatever sports you're interested. You can tell we're not sportsy people. Whatever, sports you may be doing, club.
Yeah, and why we suggest things like the neighborhood WhatsApp group or actual site, because I find that proximity, the closer these people are to you and you to them, is the more, big of a chance that you'll actually be able to, befriend them and see them more often. Because, there's...
I looked, the amount of times I was like, maybe I'll join a running club. And then I look at, Phoenix Park sounds lovely to run in. It's like, let's be honest, I'm never going to go the hour and a half it takes me to actually go to Phoenix Park only to go for a run. I'll be exhausted by the time I get there.
Yeah, definitely. And to add on to this friend thing, I can't speak for the entirety of Ireland, but for our time here in Dublin, we definitely kind of felt that there is a more culture of, work to task orientedness. Even if your friends are in the same neighborhood, sometimes it just feels that people are busy, that they're on the weekends, they're recovering from the week, or after work, they're kind of recovering. And it's this sort of feeling that I feel like this is where you have to be a bit proactive and really, really kind of want it, because you kind of have to push. Because I think the general feeling and mood, unless you've been around people for a while, is that people don't really feel like going out or socializing. I don't know if you feel it too, but compared to Austria and Barbados, I feel like the general culture that we felt in Dublin has felt less of, oh, here's some time you leave to hang out with your friends or organize. Friday night might mean, hey, it's not necessarily going out with the pub or something like that, but it might be a thing where, I haven't seen my friends for a while. Let me organize the weekend. There's kind of time, space left open to do those things. Wait a minute, we forgot to tell you who we are. Hi, I'm the Rams.
I'm the Wine.
Yeah, and on this channel, we're pretty much talking about our life here in Ireland. And it's not just for people in Ireland. There are people who travel lots to different countries or cities and are just trying to adjust. So some of this information is also pretty good for you. So like what we do here, subscribe, like the video, Oh, and there's also super thanks. It's kind of like instead of buy a bear, it's like, hey, can we, if this info is useful, chuck, giving us a super thanks. Okay, let's get back to it. Number 2 is next.
Next on our list is comforting routines. So falling into a routine isn't necessarily a bad thing. You're probably glad after having all the stress of trying to adjust to new places that you can do some of the things on autopilot. And what we found also helps us is to just have some comforting routines, like things that we tried out once, like touristy things or walks. We have an entire video actually coming up in
Yeah,
the works.
yeah, that is true. So we do have a video where we talk about some of the things that we've done yearly, the places that we continue to go to. You've got a couple of things which I realize there's a reoccurring theme of walking, a body of water, and food.
We can't deny our home countries. It's like Austrians and the walking and I guess island people and needing to see a body of water.
Yeah, it's quite interesting like that because because you might have realized that we go to a lot when there's sun out and through the summer. What we've also realized, I guess from last year, we started also coming up with activities that we do when the weather's not as good, and that's the indoor things, going to like cinema more often, but kind of making a day of it. Where, say for example, we're going for a walk. We go for a walking location where afterwards we might stop by a restaurant, get some Japanese, or if we're out in the city going to watch a movie, afterwards we go to a cafe. So we kind of double up these things like that so that you kind of get something to look forward to. What's the next trip I'm looking forward to? I don't know. It's getting more springy time again. Don't jinx it, but yeah, I can't wait to go on some walks again. Probably find some nice, a little, they call it food truck or something like that. Food trucks are great, but yeah, just small stuff like that. So for number 3, it is exploration. You've been in the country city for quite a while. It's time to explore. And I'm not talking about some of the things you see in IG, Instagram now, where it's like, oh, these most popular spots. I find that the more, out of the way spots you can get to, the more kind of intimate or close to the actual country you feel.
So, for example, you've probably heard about the Aran Islands. If you have friends who've also visited Ireland, they've probably been to the Aran Islands because they have some really strong marketing going on. But there are also so many other islands, especially off the west coast of Ireland. Like we went to Inishbofin, which is a pretty small remote island. So maybe not as, many days activities you'd think as the Aran Islands. But actually, we spent several days. We could have spent several more days. There is just so much to do, even on a small island like that.
Yeah, and it's also the ambience of the island. It takes you away. Right, offshore island. I love those. I need to go on more of them. But it kind of just takes you away, and you kind of just get to get the calm and ambience and the feel. Once again, walking in bodies of water, and food. So a recurrent theme here. But, something like that maybe for you, whether it's forest and stuff. Oh, this goes into the next point of it, like hiking and walks and that sort of stuff. It is Ireland. Emerald Islands, bit like Barbados. You live in Barbados. You kind of start taking the sea and ocean and that view for granted.
And the beach, he even forgot to mention it.
Yes, I keep saying sea and ocean is like beach. You see the ocean is shaking her head like every time we go, it sounds like, blah, 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 let's go here and here. She's like, what about the beach? The beach, it's there. And I feel like for Ireland, it's the green spaces that we kind of forget. The hikes that you can do, the walks you can do. Because I find the parks here, I think I was talking about this earlier, that in Vienna, it feels a lot more like the parks are for sitting and relaxing. While here in Ireland, it feels like a bit more for exploring and walking and exercise and all that sort of stuff. So that's the thing that we also started to do, our walks that we like to do. Everything's better with some food. Hey, if anybody from like Ireland planning is here, more bathrooms, please. More places to eat food at the end of walks, please. So if you're here living in Ireland, that's the piece of advice. Yeah, take advantage of all the green spaces, all this stuff. Get into hiking, walking, whatever you need to see to experience it. This is probably the same for Bajans. We need to experience the beach more. It's what the island or your country has.
So people travel there for specifically to see, and then you ask patients like, oh, when was the last time you were at the beach? And they go like,
we left her at the
Easter.
beach. She's not gonna she never lets this go. Every single time, It's good. It's good. We go to the beach more, but yes. So this is not a beach. If the beach is in your country, go to the beaches. That's the segue point here. So getting into the tough ones now. Location. Oof. This is a big one that's there with the housing crisis and all that sort of stuff that can really make or break how much you feel like somewhere is like home. Our views on what actually makes a nice, cozy place or location we want to live, I think has evolved over these years. I think in the beginning it was more like, oh, how close is it to the work? How can we travel there and so on and so forth. Now I think it's evolved differently.
At the start, we really focused on convenience, close to job and all that. But now it's really about community. Like if you come to a point where you're more thinking about the longer term kind of things and work, or just trying to get used to places doesn't take up that much of your energy anymore. What you're really looking for is a community, like an area you feel comfortable with, where you can go out, make friends, have your hobbies, activities going on. And that kind of feeling like of community can really make or break the location that you live in.
Yeah, so for locations, so our advice to people, out trying to stay here in the country longer, start to think about, entertainment, green spaces. You're gonna get bored, you're gonna want to do some stuff. Having something very close by is, a great benefit. Also, good transportation, and that includes, public transportation, but also by car as well. Yeah, don't skip on public transportation. If your car breaks down, it needs to go to shop, you don't have a replacement. You start loving the idea that you have an alternative sometimes to get to where you need to go. So for this, I don't think we've been here this long or been part of communities enough to kind of give you a really good idea of, all encompassing of where in Ireland or what type of vibe you would need to kind of live comfortably. So this is where we can ask you, put it in the comments for us. What do you think would be like a great or ideal place to live around Ireland?
And last but not least is a point on our list that we ourselves have kind of only just learned pretty recently, actually, and that is decorating your home. So because we've moved a lot, housing crisis, trying to figure out different parts of the city, probably not just a thing that experts do, we realized we never really put that much money into just decorating our space. Like we moved here not too long after university, and when it came to the house, the student mindset of as cheap as possible or just make things work without things kind of got stuck with us for way longer than we realized. Like it's been enough time that we've left university. Maybe a student mindset isn't that appropriate anymore.
Yeah, and how we realize this is kind of part of the apartment WhatsApp group. We started noticing that even if they're, someone might be just in the apartment for a year or two, we realize it with Irish people a lot that they would really, I say, okay, I don't like this piece of furniture, where am I be able to store this? Or they go try and get some curtains, or the bed sheets are decorated. And the comparison when you might see shots of their apartment versus us, it's like, yeah, this is kind of like almost as we found it, very bare bones, where you can see if there's, if you went over, you can see, okay, there are your personal touches, there are your
books, your paintings, your decorative elements, like things obviously people also would have collected over like decades that we had to leave behind in our home countries when we moved here. But just like a lot of more personal touches as well that we could have done with like more hanging up photos or other things like that.
Yeah, photos. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's the thing. Photos, right? See, the way you said it, I'm just like, all right, photos. We have a collection of photos. We've been here. We've made YouTube videos. We've got a collection of lovely photos that you can probably get them printed and put on a wall. And it's all these sort of things of your adventures and your time in a space that could really make it feel at home. Because the longer you live here, the more you realize, a lot of my memories aren't from where you might have lived before. There's a lot here that if you recount your stories, that, and I think that's cool to have that kind of sense of, oh, here are all the memories here. This is where I am. It's not as temporary or it's not as a short time as you thought from before.
So if you found any of this of the video helpful, you're yourself a long-term expat, or even if you consider yourself an expat for living in Dublin versus the rest of Ireland, or, just trying to make living in Dublin work. I am actually working on a little book, trying to put together a lot of scripts that never really ended up being videos and just lessons learned that we've been trying to figure out ourselves recently. And I'm working on a little book, so do stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And basically, that's all we really got to say. If you like what we do, like the video, up a super thanks. And remember to subscribe. One more question before we go. What advice do you have for, when you come to a new city or place, etc., and the years start to take on, that you would advise other people? So add them to the description. Not description, the comments. Yeah, read the description too. That's what
we do the description, you do the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Until next time. Bis später.
Bye.